Only 2 more Fridays left in October, and this month we have taken a look at films that are Halloween theme or related. Now, while this one is not really Halloween related, it is based on one of the greatest pieces of American folklore and Halloween staple, Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. While there have been countless adaptations of this short story, the one we'll be looking at today is 1999's Sleepy Hollow. Directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, and Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman, the plot follows Ichabod Crane, who is sent to investigate a series of murders in the village of Sleepy Hollow. Development began in 1993 with Kevin Yeager originally set to direct. Originally penned as a low-budget slasher film, disagreements with Paramount resulted in Yeager being demoted to prosthetic makeup designer, and Burton was hired to direct in 1998. Tim Burton has said the film was inspired by gothic horror films of Mario Bava and Hammer Film Productions. Burton even brought back Hammer veteran Michael Gough out of retirement for a small role and got Sir Christopher Lee, a veteran of both Hammer and Bava's films, for a cameo. Let's check out 1999's Sleepy Hollow. In 1799, Ichabod Crane, a New York City police constable criticized for his use of scientific methods, is dispatched to the upstate town of Sleepy Hollow, which has been plagued by a series of brutal decapitations. A wealthy father and son, Peter and Dirk Van Garrett, and a widow, Emily Winship. Arriving in Sleepy Hollow, Crane is informed by the town's elders that the killer is not of flesh and blood, but rather an undead, headless mercenary from the American Revolution who rides at night on a black steed in search of his missing head. Boarding at the home of the Van Tassels, Crane develops an attraction to their daughter Katrina. This attraction is deeply resented by Brom Van Brunt, a suitor to Katrina. When a fourth victim, Jonathan Masbeth, a servant in the Van Garrett household, is killed, Ichabod takes the victim's son, young Masbeth, under his wing. Ichabod and Masbeth exhume the victims on a tip from Phillips, learning that the widow died pregnant. While riding home that night, Brom plays a prank on Ichabod by scaring him dressed as the Headless Horseman. The next night, when Crane confronts Phillips about the widow, the horseman comes and decapitates Phillips and carries off with his head. Ichabod, Masbeth, and Katrina venture into the western woods, where a witch living in a cave reveals the location of the horseman's grave at the Tree of the Dead. He digs at the horseman's grave and discovers his skull has been taken, deducing that it has been stolen by someone who now controls him and that the tree is his portal into the living world. That night, the horseman kills Beth Killian and her family, as well as Brom when he attempts to stop the horseman. Ichabod is wounded by the horseman but survives. Ichabod suspects that the horseman is attacking targets linked by a conspiracy. He and Masbeth visit Hardenbrook, who reveals that the first victim, Peter Van Garrett, had secretly married the widow, writing a new will that left his entire estate to her and her unborn child. Ichabod deduces that the victims, except for Brom, are either beneficiaries or witnesses to the new will, and that the horseman's master is the person who would have otherwise inherited the estate, Baltus, a Van Garrett relative. Upon discovering the accusation, Katrina burns the evidence. Hardenbrook commits suicide, and Steinwick convenes a town meeting to discredit Ichabod, but Baltus bursts into the assembly at the church, announcing that the horseman has killed his wife. The horseman attacks the church but is unable to enter. In the chaos, the remaining elders turn on each other. Steinwick kills Lancaster and is in turn killed by Baltus, who is then harpooned and dragged through a window and out of the church by the horseman, who then beheads him. Initially concluding that Katrina controls the horseman, Ichabod discovers a diagram she drew beneath his bed and in the church during the meeting, which he believes summoned the horseman. In reality, it's one of protection, and also finds a wound on Lady Van Tassel's decapitated body that was caused post-mortem. Lady Van Tassel, alive and well, emerges from the shadows and reveals herself to Katrina as the master of the horseman. She faked her death and used the planted, headless body of Van Tassel's servant girl, Sarah, whom she had killed. She takes Katrina to a local windmill and explains her true heritage from a poor family evicted years ago by Peter Van Garrett when he favored Baltus and his family instead. She swore revenge against Van Garrett and all who had wronged her family, pledging herself to Satan if he would raise the horsemen to avenge her by killing them, which would also allow her claim to the Van Garrett and Van Tassel estate. Manipulating her way into the Van Tassel household, she used fear, blackmail, and lust to manipulate the elders into her plot. Having eliminated all other heirs and witnesses, as well as her sister, the witch, for aiding Ichabod, she summons the horsemen to finish Katrina. Ichabod and Masbeth rush to the windmill as the horseman arrives. After an escape that destroys the windmill and a chase to the Tree of the Dead, Ichabod retrieves the horseman's skull from Lady Van Tassel and returns it to him, breaking the curse, and setting the horseman free from Lady Van Tassel's control. With his head restored, the horseman spares Katrina and abducts Lady Van Tassel, giving her a bloody kiss and returning to hell with her in tow, fulfilling the end of The Deal. Ichabod returns to New York with Katrina and young Masbeth just in time for the new century. Tim Burton took many liberties with the plot and characters. They changed Ichabod from a local schoolmaster to a police constable. The Headless Horseman, instead of being a malevolent ghost, is a weapon used against the locals. Brom Bones is even portrayed more sympathetic while being antagonistic in the beginning. He redeems himself as he engages in combat with the horseman, allowing Ichabod to escape. There are many homages to Disney's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the old windmill, Brom tossing the pumpkin dressed as the horseman, and even the final chase between the horsemen. While not one of his best films, it's easily one of his best looking films. Tim Burton is a true filmmaker in all essence. He doesn't give a shit about the source material. He cares about the story, how it looks, and how it sounds on the big screen, and as a filmmaker, that truly is all that matters.